Good evening. The opinions and statements voiced by our guests do not necessarily reflect the opinions of this network. Enjoy the shows.
We've been expecting you.
Monday, time for our maven of the supernatural, Denise Pridemore. This is the Paranormal Pride. Join to listen and chat live on WBHM-DB.com or Spreaker app. Search WBHM-DB every Monday at 7 p.m. Central for your supernatural paranormal fix. Welcome to the Paranormal Pride, where the show is about the guest and the listener.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Welcome to the Paranormal Pride. This is my 200th show. I'm so excited to have everyone here. Our guest is going to be just a few minutes late, but in the meantime, Kat and I are going to talk about some of why this is special. One reason is Kat was one of the very first people that I ever interviewed with. And we were on the same network at the time, and we were introduced by a good friend, Rick Rose, who's now passed. And he was my first interview. He was my 100th interview, and he was going to be tonight's interview, but we all know that Rick passed away and he can't be here. So this is sad and happy at the same time. So keep that in mind. And David decided, I asked David to come on, not realizing it was my 200th show until after I left talking to him. And since he was a real good friend of Rick's as well, I thought that who better to have on here than to have David Glidden on for the 6th or 7th time. Yeah.
David Glidden is a fabulous interview. I don't care how many times he's there.
David is one of the people that I always say is one of my kids. We had our friendiversary on Facebook the other day. And I said, who'd have thought one phone call, because he had called me. It wasn't that he sent me a friend request on Facebook. He called me and we were talking. And from there, this friendship was created. And it's not just me. Ron feels the same way about David as I do. And it's been a great relationship. And so every time we're together, we have a good time. We treat each other like crap sometimes when we're together, more like not crap, sarcasm. We have a lot of sarcasm together.
The tool amongst friends, indeed.
I tell everybody sarcasm is my first language, English is my second. So he gets me when I get sarcastic. So we have fun that way too. And to top it off, just like I said, we just had our friendiversary, and we're going to be together this weekend at the very first Parafest in Cameron, Missouri. And so we at least get to celebrate together. So it'll be fun to see him again, even though, like I said, we just saw him 2 weeks ago when we harassed him at his local Walmart. And intentionally we harassed him. But, it's always fun. And David...
He's that guy.
He is. He's always got a smile on his face, and he always smiles so much that it gets to be contagious. So
I love that kind of infection. It's much better than what's going around lately.
Yeah, and then you've got also that we have something in common. We both love the paranormal. And of course, that's when I say both, I actually mean me and Ron and David. It's not just me. And we get his sense of humor that goes into some of his filming, and I don't know what else I can say about him, but I love the kid, and him being a parent, you can see how that's changed him in some ways and hasn't changed him in others. But it's always the same, when you first become a parent. And I have to say, she's a beautiful little girl. She must take after her mother. But no, actually, she looks like David.
I've seen the pictures. I think she does. So
she does look a lot like David.
Yes,
so
she does.
She's got his smile and but like I said, I am so excited to be having him on tonight. I know he made an announcement on Halloween, and I don't know if the people on here have heard it, so I'm going to wait for him to come on and tell us that announcement again. So, and for those of you who've just joined, David's going to be just a few minutes late. I just want him to get home safely from work before he comes on. He sent me a message saying that people are slow, I swear. And I'm going to tell you, I cleaned that up.
Yes, you did. And I appreciate that.
Well, it's I know how it goes. It's just, just a few words like that, and I had to clean it up. So that's another thing that makes you laugh. So, and I'd like to say hello to everyone in the chat room. Hello, Carol and Lisa. I haven't talked to you in a little while, Lisa. And Dara, Carl, and Gary. I know that
hey,
all of you.
There.
Yep. And I know everyone here knows David very well. And if you guys have any questions for David, go ahead and load up the chat room, because I know he loves to answer questions, and he's always got a nice long explanation for those as well. He really enjoys explaining stuff. And if you have orb questions, I really appreciate those. And if you didn't get the sarcasm in that, I'm so sorry.
One who they got it.
No. Yeah. So
now I want to ask you something, and this is a serious question because I've always wondered, and since this is your 200th anniversary, it's cool, right?
Yep.
So you told me a long time ago that you heard my my podcast, and I really am so flattered by you, and then you decided you wanted to do that. What was it that made you feel that strongly, and is it what you thought it was going to be?
I'm going to answer the last one first. No, it's not what I thought it was going to be. It is totally much more fun than what I thought. I thought it was going to be I know in this business, you can put as much work into it as you want. It seems to have come natural for me. And I know that if I put more work into it, it would be even better. But when I heard you interviewing Rick, and Rick was asking all these questions, and I'm typing as fast as I can to answer them because, you guys all didn't know all the details behind the Sally house. And I'm sitting there going, I could do this. I think I could. And I think I'd enjoy it. But you made it seem like it was going to be a lot easier than it was. And the way that you talked to Rick made me feel like I could feel the respect. And I could feel how much you loved doing this. I do. And it's not just this that you love, but you could hear how you felt about being involved. And so when the opportunity came to me to be on your show, and I was actually a guest firsthand, I learned a few things from that. And they were all, well, okay. I learned some good things, and over the years I learned some bad things, but it was mostly good. And that's what's kept me going, is I want to meet the standard that when I met you, and Frank, okay, because you and Frank back then were like a package deal.
Pretty much.
But when I heard you guys, I said I have to be at least that good to keep on doing this. I cannot be like some of the other podcasts that I've heard in the past, that the ones that are fly by night. And I felt like this was something that if I did it right, I could last 5 years or more. You know,
easy. Yeah.
And you got Ron back there saying you're eventually going to run out of guests, and I'm like, nope, I'm not. I haven't yet. Well, it helps that people keep canceling. I get to keep having David on, so it works out. But
isn't that funny that we have those people that we go to when that happens?
Yeah, I mean,
people that we
David
know.
David's my Rick McCullum.
Yes.
And
no, Rick McCullum will not come on all the time.
Oh.
Because no, he will not. He is, and he is my dear, bestie in the paranormal. He is so respectful and so nice, and I will call him and say, I might need this, this, and this, and he's like, I think that you could find somebody else that you might not have spoken to yet.
Oh.
And the first time he did that, I was like, if I could, I would have.
Yeah.
But it is to push me, and he's very good at that. He's between him, Frank, and David. My husband is David. Frank is my research partner, and Rick is my friend and just a fantastic paranormal investigator. But I get pushed beyond my comfort zone. And I used to get frustrated with that, especially when I needed a guest. But it is a good thing, right?
Yes.
Because you have to push that envelope. And I have gotten some of the most interesting guests spur of the moment. And, I have that list of people that will send me a message and say, I would like to come on. Here's my information. And I just love it. So, but no, he will not just come on.
Well, I just know this year it seems like he's been on a lot.
Well, with the book, yeah.
Yeah. So,
he came on,
and I know
the book came out. And...
Yeah, you have a little list of people that seem to be your backup. But the part that people don't see from the outside is sometimes how hard it is to get those guests scheduled. And all of you may have noticed that back October and this first part of November, that it wasn't just me. We had guests dropping like flies, and not because they died or anything like that, but either they forgot. We had shows where people did not realize that the show was 2 hours, even though I told them multiple times. We had all these weird things happened where I ended up interviewing Kat one night, and 2 nights later she's calling me and saying I need to interview you because my guest dropped. And it's great that we have that, but I have now started making sure that I have backups scheduled just in case, because I don't want to leave my listeners suddenly without a show. And I know that this is their habit, and I'd hate for them.
Certain people that you do become aware of, and you had booked someone, and I told you that they had a history of that with me, and that was just one of those things that, I was fortunate one night when they couldn't join me that their partner was actually in my listening audience. So that's always nice.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I those spur of the moment guests, they are sometimes some of the best shows. Absolutely. Because you're not you're not aware of anything sometimes. There are guests that you've never interviewed before, like when I interviewed David Stone about America's Stonehenge. I had no clue. Dennis. And he was and this was right at the time that his property had been vandalized, but he couldn't say anything yet. And he had told us off air, all about it, but on air, we couldn't talk about it. So it was one of those things that, to keep his trust, I had to make sure I stuck with that. But it was such a great interview, even though he was so stressed out.
Yes.
And another one was down in Kentucky, and I forgot his name, even though he's really interesting. But, after 200 shows, it's kind of hard to remember every single person I've ever interviewed. He's got a handicapped kid. I remember that. And I cannot remember his name all of a sudden, but he has his own podcast, and he's into cryptids, UFOs, and the paranormal. And he wrote some books about Kentucky, the haunted places in Kentucky. So he lives, I believe, south of Elizabethtown for some reason. Okay. So, but like I said, it was either south of Elizabethtown or south of Evansville, Indiana, and on the Kentucky side. Like I said, I know about where it's at. I mean, and I remember talking to him, but again, like I said, can't even remember half the people I've interviewed without going back and looking at the list. And I know you're the same way, having a couple shows that you're doing each week. And now you're meeting all these other people by producing all these other shows on the network. I bet you're having a heck of a time keeping track of everybody.
Well, I basically go through 6 shows a week. 2 that I'm talking and 4 that I'm not. And with the exception of Shelley on Fridays with Ghost Talk Radio, everybody has at least one guest. Teal has 2. And it's never boring. Sometimes it makes you sleepy.
Oh, yeah.
But the best part is that we have such good hosts, and everybody has a good contact list. As far as I've seen, nobody minds sharing contact information if, somebody's having trouble finding it. And I think that that's pretty nice, because some people are so possessive. And I'm just like, it's okay. The one person and I told him on my show, the one person whose Rolodex I would love to have is Tom from Coast to Coast.
Mm-hmm.
I told him, I said, I would love to have access to your contact list.
Oh, yeah.
Because, everybody and their brother goes across Coast to Coast. I've even been on there. So, it's just a wonderful program.
It's probably my turn's coming up.
People. Well, you'll love it, because George Norrie is the most professional and nice man. He is the consummate professional. And when I interviewed him, I had no stingers. I was using a software I wasn't familiar with because my producer quit the day before the show.
Yep, I remember. And guess what?
24 hours.
My boss tells me it's time for a break. So everyone, you're listening to WBHM-DB.com, and we will be back in just a couple minutes, and hopefully with our guest. So come on back.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but...
Nope. That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama. Since 1948, Fate Magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting. You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
This is Jason Bland, host of Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup, where we stream live as a webcast every Sunday night, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern, with guests who will blow your mind. Live ghost box sessions where you can call into the show to see if the spirits will talk to you, and the world wide web of weird with the latest in paranormal news and evidence. We're bringing the weird every Sunday night, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Don't forget to follow and subscribe.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 23 minutes after the hour.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore, and right now my guest is Kat Hobson, but it's going to be David Glidden here shortly. He's getting his computer, he's made it home, and he's getting his computer up, so he's keeping in touch with me to keep so that I don't get all upset and worried. So, I know that David's into spook light phenomenon, and I know that you're really interested in that.
I am.
And I'm hoping to find out if he's going to be doing a third movie on that. I do know that the first two were very well. The second one didn't seem to be too much on spook lights, more on something else, but I thought that they were really well produced, better than some of the things I've seen produced for television.
I would agree with that.
And I think the only thing it could have done with less is cussing, but apparently
you have to look at the cast. I
did, and and considering that I know them very well, none of it surprised me, and I am really surprised that Rick wasn't in the second one. I think he was supposed to be and something happened, but Rick was funny when he was involved with all that. So, but Rick was funny
when he breathed.
I don't know. My favorite thing from Rick, which I will be getting all those clips together so that we can have a show at the beginning of the year in memoriam of Rick. He hated Taylor Swift. Okay. Yeah. He just hated her. But, when she came out with the song that said, haters gonna hate, yeah. He did a little video and it made me laugh that day that he did it, because it's like, it was so innocent. And it was at a time where he was getting a lot of people were being really rude to him. And I'm going back, this would have been back in like 2016, 2015. So, no, it would have been 2016. So, when I pulled it up a few months ago, his mother commented, I had forgotten all about that. And so she had to laugh about it as well. I know that his mother wants to be available when I do that memoriam.
Great.
And I got some comments from the Kling brothers.
Right.
They said that they didn't know if they could be on, to tape that, because I'm going to be taping most of it, because I'm also going to the time, afterwards. So, and there's David.
Yes, indeed.
So,
hi, David.
So,
hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep, we can hear you.
Beautiful. Well, that was a mess.
Well, it's all good.
Yep.
I'm going to hang up my David hat, and I'm going to listen to you, Mr. Glidden, and what all you've got going on.
Oh, I've got plenty going on, that's for sure.
I am absolutely positive.
We all are.
And I want to talk. Can I ask him a question before I go?
Go right ahead.
I hear tell that you might be doing another Spook Flight film.
It's been talked about.
If you should happen to wander up into Cherokee, North Carolina to do something about that, I want to go and show you where I have those experiences. Or
okay.
I can meet you there whenever we're allowed to go. But anyway, if you're going to go and look at that, I would very much like to share it, because it's a wonderful place.
Yeah, we've talked about like what we wanted to do if we did a third one, and then in fact what we want to do is actually what we wanted to do originally for the second one, which was to visit the Brown Mountains again in North Carolina.
Yes.
And we had a plan for that. Like we were gonna tackle that entire mountain. Like it was gonna be a big army of people out there to document and try to collect some new evidence and yeah, it would have been interesting.
If you should happen to go back and try to do that, just remember that woman who disappeared had her search party disappear also. So
oh wow!
Don't leave anybody sitting anywhere.
No, we'll have.
You need to have big teams.
Out there. Yeah. Yep.
Did you not
Definitely
know that?
Huh?
Did you not know that?
About the search party disappearing too? No.
Yeah. It was fairly large. I mean, the woman was, a wife and mom and stuff, I think. But they had a large search party, and they never came back.
Oh, wow.
So,
interesting.
Anyway, I just wanted to mention that. If you're going, I want to show you, because they respond to me there.
Okay.
And, that ranger was so shocked when I had seen them every time I've gone. She said her kids have gone up there and never got a chance to. They've never shown up. So,
I'll definitely take you up on that.
okay. Well, y'all have fun. I'm going to step back.
All right.
Well, welcome, David. I am so glad you're here. At the beginning of the show, I told everybody that, my first show was Rick Rose. My 100th show was Rick Rose, and he was supposed to be the guest for my 200th show. He agreed to this a while ago, of course, since he's been gone 6 months almost. And so you're the next best thing, because you loved Rick as much as we did.
Yes.
And you're also going to be involved in the show after the beginning of the year that's going to be the memoriam for Rick that I'm working on. And because there's only a few people that cared about him as much as we did, besides his own family.
Right.
And so it'll be sad and fun.
Yeah.
Because
I'll have tissues ready.
Oh yeah, Rick always makes us laugh anyway. But this show's about you this time, And so we've already did the part about me and the fact that this is 200. And
congratulations, by the way, on 200.
Well, thank you. But you've been on here, I think 6 times.
Has it been 6?
Yeah, 6 or 7. I have to go back and count. But,
that's only 3%. 3% of the show.
You're my most frequent guest. So, but that's okay. You're the person we see the most frequent besides a couple others. But right. A few weeks ago, I told everybody that we had stopped in to harass you at work. So,
yeah. And it was good harassment, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's not every day somebody from your normal, from your paranormal stuff comes to harass you at work. So
right? It's like I'm sitting there working and I just kind of look up and then pop, there you are. And I'm like, oh, whoa, okay.
Well, you didn't act like you were shocked at all to see us.
Well, I was also wearing a mask, too, so you couldn't see half of my face.
So, well, probably had the Home Alone look on there.
Right.
But your customer that day was excellent.
Yeah.
And he was very nice, and I still have my cat, Killer. I don't know what it is, but it won't kill a cat, but it'll definitely kill somebody who comes close to me. It's in my car, so at least I now have a weapon in my car. Right. But hopefully you guys have gotten together, because I know that you guys were going to get together on something.
Well, he does like 3D printing and stuff like that, so I was trying to get him hooked up with John, because outside of, like with John and his lights that he builds, he has to order and ship parts overseas, like the cases, the boxes and stuff, and I was like, John, you need to call this guy, he does 3D printing, he can print up your boxes and everything, and probably save you some money. So
why not?
Hopefully he contacted him. I don't know if he has. I've been so busy, I haven't even had time for anything.
Well, people are probably wanting to buy phones now.
Mm-hmm.
Getting Christmas stuff together, because Christmas is going to be a little bit different this year.
We're doing the Black Friday stuff, so.
Yeah, they started that, the first weekend in, or the first Friday in November?
Yeah, and then this weekend was the start for the cell phones. And if people don't know what I do, I set up lines for AT&T and Verizon, so, yeah, that's what I do in the meantime, because the filmmaking and haunting history isn't supporting me yet.
No. So I had told everybody that you had made you had told us you were going to make an announcement on Halloween. I didn't hear that announcement, but again,
YouTube channel, yeah.
Okay, so what was that announcement?
We are bringing haunting history back. We took like a year and a half hiatus, I think it was. About a year or so hiatus. I was actually going to walk away from doing haunting history and everything, and in fact, the last episode I shot with you over at Kendrick Place, that was the last episode that we'd shot, and I just kind of dusted my hands off, and because I had some other things I wanted to get done, mainly paranormal studies, and so I just kind of walked away from doing haunting history, and then up until just a couple months ago, I was fine with it. Then I started getting this itch because I hadn't been out investigating, hadn't been out filming. And, I kept telling the guys, I'm like, look, if we're going to do this, we need to try to get sponsors together, because I don't want to just, run through a bunch of money shooting all this and putting it up. I want it to be worthwhile. If I'm going to put this much time into it, I kind of want to get some reward out of it. And but push comes to shove, we don't have sponsors, and I've already filmed 4 episodes, and we'll be shooting another one this coming weekend. And
I wonder where.
Yeah, right.
Am I going to be involved?
What's that?
Am I going to be involved?
I've already invited some guests that are going to be involved with this, so unfortunately not this time. But it's not going to be at the school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're not shooting it in Cameron.
Okay.
But the next night after that's when I'll be out filming.
Okay.
So
you're going to be out filming on Sunday night? Okay.
Yeah, the 21st we're going to be doing the conference and everything. I'll probably attend the investigation. I'm not sure what Carl's going to want to do.
Well, he's in the chat room. He'll probably speak up.
I should probably jump in there. I really should.
It's okay. I'll tell you whatever they ask anyway. So,
okay.
But I know I'm looking forward to this. It's the first one, and we all know the first ones are always interesting.
Yep.
And but regardless, we're all going to have a good time, and we're going to meet some new people and see what's going to happen. Hopefully, nobody gets scratched, punched in the stomach, or anything like that. But I will tell you on. Carl says need you there.
I will be there.
So I tell you, the Halloween one, they had it on during the record-breaking attempt, and I did something I don't normally do, and I was 100% right, which was even weirder.
What's
and I did readings on people.
Oh.
And then during Warrior Fest, the last day after they broke the attempt, they were at this bar called Misfits in Blue Springs, and I told them about a guy I saw walking across the stage, and told him that it was his favorite place. He had just died a week. He was the drummer in the band, and he had just died a week before.
Mm.
Yeah, that was weird. That gave me chills.
Right.
So. But Carl was on here last week talking about some of that and some of the event. But yeah, you'll find the school to be somewhat interesting.
Yeah.
If not really interesting. So
well, I've only ever done like 2 schools. One was turned into a bed and breakfast, and the other one was the 4-hour schoolhouse. So, and just looking at the picture of this building, like it looks big, it looks huge. So I'm kind of curious as to how it's going to turn out. I am curious about its history.
So am I.
What's making it haunted? So
me too.
That I'm really interested in finding that out.
I will tell you, I have not researched it yet because I've been sick a lot with these shingles, and we've been busy getting new grandbabies and all kinds of stuff.
A lot of baby making going on, huh?
Yeah, and sometimes too much, but that's okay.
Ron.
No, I ain't Ron.
Oh, poor Ron.
Poor Ron. Ron. No baby making for Ron. That stopped years ago. Our youngest is 21. Do the math. I don't think you have to. I did Republican math there. I just told you the straight number.
I think there's not a show that goes by that I don't do with you that we don't pick on Ron a little bit.
I know. Ron is he's good natured at taking the crap I give him. So
he's good. He's a good guy to take a ribbing.
Yeah, I'm just grateful that the ones having a little girl have not decided that they want to name her Corona.
Oh, they're not going to do that?
Yeah, well, Ron, the girl's baby's names would be called Rona, not Ron. Rana. But no, we do have a boy's name. The grandson that's going to be born sometime in January, his name's going to be Nolan Montgomery. So Nolan not after Nolan Ryan, but after some other player on the Dodgers. Okay. So Carl said he shot a transgendered buck on Saturday.
Blew its nuts off?
I guess so. I don't know. But, and Ron asked, is there 5 Saturdays this month, David?
Unfortunately.
I don't know. Yes? No?
Is there?
There's not.
I don't think
know.
there is.
I don't know. I haven't looked at the calendar. So, but I will tell you.
There is. There is.
Okay. Well.
Sorry, Denise.
As you can tell, we know a little bit too much about each other's lives. And I do have a question for you, besides some of the other questions that we have. How does it feel to be a dad?
Oh, man. Honestly, and people will probably think this is weird for me to say, everybody, before we had the baby, so everybody would tell me like, oh, you're going to feel this wave of emotions and everything, all this. whenever she's born. Honestly, I didn't feel any different. I mean, yeah, I love my baby. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love and adore my baby. But, like, I didn't feel any different. Like, I already had that love there for her when she was inside mama. So,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So, but outside of that, now I catch myself looking at her picture on my phone. Like, I've got this one picture that I took where she was kind of looking up at me, and she's got this perfect pose, and like her eyes are getting a little more blue now, and it's like, yeah, I kind of get lost looking at the eyes, and it's, yeah, makes me smile.
It does. Just remember, all this love you have right now turns into, when she's a teenager, into all this angst.
Yeah.
And then when they get over 21, then it turns into, God, I did such a good job.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
We'll see.
Because I know
I think I will. She's gonna be a musician, so that's my goal.
Does she tap her toes?
She bangs her hands on everything. Like, I'm getting her to keep rhythm. Like, I play drums as well as guitar, so like I want her to learn to maintain rhythm early. So whenever I do, I'm going to start her off on drums. I think she'll like that. So that way she can kind of have a head start on keeping rhythm and everything like that, and everything else. As she gets older and progresses, if she still wants to play drums, like the rudiments and all the drum theory and everything will come a lot easier for her.
Oh yeah, and hand-eye coordination.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you know what? We got to get ready for our next break. So, everybody out there, you're listening to WBHM-DB.com, and my guest tonight is David Glidden. If you have any questions for him at all, please put them in the chat, and I don't care how embarrassing they are, I will ask them. So get on the ball, people, and send me those questions, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... Nope. That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
This is Jason Bland, host of Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup, where we stream live as a webcast every Sunday night, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern, with guests who will blow your mind. Live ghost box sessions where you can call into the show to see if the spirits will talk to you, and the world wide web of weird with the latest in paranormal news and evidence. We're bringing the weird every Sunday night, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Don't forget to follow and subscribe.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 45 minutes after the hour.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore, and my guest tonight is David Glidden for this special 200th show. And so we're going to start you off with a couple questions from the chat room. This is from Gary. He says, David, it's good to hear you.
Well, thanks, Gary.
And Ron popped a question in my face at the same time. What do you feel has been your best evidence so far?
As far as audio goes, I would say whenever Rick and I filmed the initial Paranormal Studies pilot, and we caught that fighting from the floor below us. If you haven't seen that, there's a video on my YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/haunting history. Do a search for in the videos called Paranormal Studies pilot. Towards the back end of the episode, I mean, watch the whole episode. It's a good episode. It's a good video. A lot of cool stuff happened in there. But that fighting that we captured, we heard it with our own ears, and we captured it on the camera's audio as well as the digital recorder's audio, and it was so impressive and just caught us off guard, number one, but it still strikes me to this day, like, just how amazing that is to capture, like, whenever you have 150 documented cases where somebody would assault somebody else in that place, like two particular people, and to capture something like that on audio, to back that up, that is amazing. And we heard it live, so that was amazing. Video-wise, though, I would have to say, like, there was a shadow figure that we captured from the Brown Mansion in Coffeyville, Kansas. That was, we didn't notice it on our video, until probably like 6 to 7 months later, whenever I was actually reviewing the video for an editing purpose, and I saw it, and I was like, and I got so excited, I ran and I got my buddy Jeremy. I had to show him because he was there, and he flipped out. We sat there, we analyzed it, studied it. We're like, why, how, what, couldn't come up with a logical explanation for it, and so that floored us.
And the one where you heard the arguing, that was at Malvern Manor.
Yep.
And we have tried to see if that was residual by trying to, every time we try to find out what time, we'd look at, your video, and we knew that it was between midnight and 12:30 in the morning.
Yeah, 12:10.
12:10. So right before that, Ron gets everything set up in the rooms down there to try to see if he can get that to recreate. So far it hasn't, but he keeps trying. So, and it gets talked about every time we're there. Of course, Charlie's there, and Charlie talks about it. Ron talks about it. Gary and Carl know about it as well. So needless to say, it comes up a lot while we're there. So,
well, see, the interesting thing is, like, a lot of people have told me that they've heard it before, but nobody's ever captured it.
Yeah, I could see that happening.
So I don't know what was so special about us being there at that time, for us to actually capture it. I mean, the one thing I will say is, like, we didn't have any devices on that floor for recording purposes. So, I've always had this theory, not always, but over the last few years, developed this theory where, like, you're setting up cameras or recording devices. If that's not changing the environment, like the energy and how it's being able to be used, or if you're changing the entity's energy by watching or trying to view it with a recording device, in relation to the double slit experiment. If you don't know what that is, I would suggest checking that out. But we didn't have anything down there to record it. It was all recorded from the attic. So, yeah, I wonder if that has something to do with it sometimes. I just haven't been able to get back there and try to recreate the conditions or situation.
Like I said, I'm just wondering if it's residual or if it's intelligent. That's why we keep trying to get it to happen again, to see if we can get it on tape. See what we feel while we're in that area at the same time. We had recordings going on in both rooms that are in this, that are part of this bad thing that happened in Malvern. And so we've had different things happen in the one room to the front of the building, and some other things that happened in the room to the back of the building. Charlie has trouble sometimes getting his EDI meter to work. I hate to say this, but it always works around me. Huh. It's the only time it ever He goes, the only time it ever makes any changes colors or do anything is when Denise is around. And I'm like, oh, well, I don't know. But, we had some things happen that night. This last time not the last time, I think it was the time before that we were there, because we've been there like 4 times. And you've been there more than that. So
yeah, I've been there a few times.
Yeah, just a few.
Yeah. And
Dara says that she loves that EVP. She heard it with her own ears about a year later.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then Gary says Malvern is active. That is where I got shouted at by a spirit at the attic staircase.
Yeah. What's funny about that is one of the episodes that we filmed for Haunting History there, towards the end of the night, we were getting ready to shoot a session in I forgot what they call it, the big room with the wood floors and wood walls and stuff like that.
The lobby.
Yeah, the lobby. While we were setting up in there, I heard somebody from upstairs yell, "Hey!" So I went over to the stairs and I'm like, "Hello? Hello, is there somebody up there?" And then I heard somebody say hello back from up there. And we weren't recording at the time.
Of course.
And so we turned on the cameras and stuff, and we tried to go back up there. We tried to see if there was anything. Nothing else responded. But again, that goes back to that whole theory about recording. It was interacting while we weren't recording, but as soon as we started recording, it stopped. So
they're smart enough to know when, and they don't want to be caught on tape. Dara says that they got a Bless You EVP in that room that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And I will say I got spooned in the room with in the lobby. We had when we set up tents inside the building, right, because, you want to be somewhat warm. Mm-hmm. And so that first time we went, it was really cold and snowy and crappy and all this other stuff. And so we set up our tent in the lobby. And I went and I laid down for a little while. And the next thing you know, I'm being spooned by something that I felt one leg next to me, and the other one I only felt to like a knee.
Right.
I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. But, I've had quite a few things happen there, getting scratched and having things thrown at me and stuff like that. It's just one of those normal things. Oh, it was you, Ron? Ron says it was him spooning me. So, yeah. He was actually busy chasing around spirits with Lauren and Becca that night, and Charlie and Ernest, because they went back and they were drinking wine in their room, and then all of a sudden they go, yeah, we worked hard all day, we're going to go to bed. And right, the 4 of them ended up hearing something saying Lauren's name, and that's when they all woke right up and were ready to investigate, and they were up until like 5 a.m. But I don't know. Malvern's got, it was one of those places that Rick introduced us to, because that's when he was helping us with Sally House stores. Uh-huh. So every time we think about Malvern, we think about Rick. Josh is just a byproduct of that. That's all.
Well, speaking of which, I'm actually about to. I've been talking to Josh about. I want to do this experiment. So a week ago, actually 2 weeks ago, before I went filming for this last investigation, I was going through my recorders, dumping audio, just deleting old files and stuff like that, and I come across this one file where, like, I do these phone-in EVP sessions where I have somebody that's not even there at the location call in and do the EVP session over speakerphone. And
yeah, we did that with you at Malvern.
Yeah, I'll leave a recorder in the room and I'll leave and everybody will leave, so there's no contamination. Well, I did one with Rick, and I told Josh I want to go back up to Malvern and go in the same room that we did that in and play that audio file, because it's Rick doing an EVP session over the phone. But I want to play it back, and I was like, it'd be interesting to have like a deceased person trying to talk to a deceased person. I don't know if that'll actually incite any activity or not, but it just, little quirky little things like that, it makes me think and wonder. And so I just kind of want to try that, I think that'd be kind of cool.
I would say, I think that that's an interesting thing, but it's very similar to what happened when we were at, it may end up being like when we were at the Kendrick House, and you played the battle sounds.
Mm-hmm.
You may end up getting, kind of punched in the stomach, not figuratively, not physically,
right?
With activity that's related to that, because Malvern was one of Rick's favorite places to go.
Mm-hmm. And that EVP session was up in Hank's room, and Rick actually started kind of provoking Hank over the phone.
And I'm shocked, and I'm not shocked at all.
So I just find it interesting that I still have that file, and I was like, I want to take that up into Hank's room, and I want to play that file and have another recorder recording it, and just see what happens. Just to see what happens, if anything comes of it. Kind of a nice little tribute to Rick too. So
yeah, and like I said, I guarantee if there's anything to this paranormal stuff for real, he's going to come through and he's going to tell you.
Yeah.
So, and it's been a while since he's passed. I don't think it would be disrespectful at this point.
No, I don't think so either.
Unlike some of the other people who have done stuff like that way early after somebody died.
Yeah. Knowing his mom, though, like, I know she would adore it. Like, just to hear Rick, like, investigating.
Oh again,
yeah. I think she would love that. Yeah.
That's some of our favorite memories.
Yeah, I would probably do a video out of it.
Oh yeah.
And just send it to her so she has that.
You figure with Rick as a son, she had to have a sense of humor. Because I know
Rick got it.
Well, I know where he got it, but it was one of those things where I remember him talking about her, and you wouldn't hear him talk about anyone with as much love as his mother and grandmother.
Yeah.
In fact, he was on my show like 3 days before his grandmother passed.
Mm.
And he, people may not know this, but he moved back to Ohio to live with his grandmother to help take care of her as she was passing. Mm-hmm. And that right there is something that a lot of people can't do.
Yeah.
And he did it with grace and laughter. And I remember him putting his grandmother on Periscope and all kinds of other stuff. Yeah. And she kept acting like she was mad at him, but you could see that she didn't care.
She was having fun.
Oh, yeah, she was. So, I don't know. There's something about that guy that I think that we're never going to let go, and I don't think we need to. I think we need to keep him alive in our memories and in our investigating, especially if it was someplace that he loved, because, or loved enough to go to. I think you might find his spirit sometimes at Villisca as well.
Yeah, he used to say that Malvern was his home away from home. So.
Yep, he did. And we're up to our top of the hour news break. You're listening to WBHM-DB.com, and we will be back with David Glidden. And you guys are failing me by not asking those embarrassing questions in chat. I really would like to have them. And if you have any questions about spook lights or paranormal, Bigfoot, the Crystal Mine, Crystal Camp down in Mena, Arkansas, David's the guy to talk to. So come on back, and we'll talk to him about some of that stuff too. We'll be waiting for you.
This message comes from NPR sponsor Hulu, presenting the new original series No Man's Land. No Man's Land follows the battle between fighting for what you believe in or supporting the ones you love. Stream No Man's Land on November 18th, only on Hulu.
Live from NPR News, I'm Jack Speer. President-elect Joe Biden is calling on Congress to pass another round of coronavirus relief. He also says if a vaccine is approved, he would not hesitate to take it. Biden outlining some of his goals during an appearance today in Wilmington, Delaware. Biden met today via video with several business and labor leaders ahead of his remarks, saying he's optimistic about the economy despite a surge in coronavirus infections nationwide.
We all agreed that we want to get the economy back on track. We need our workers to be back on the job by getting the virus under control. We're going into a very dark winter. Things are going to get much tougher before they get easier. And that requires sparing no effort to fight COVID.
President-elect said he would support a national $15 an hour minimum wage. He also urged President Trump to cooperate with the new administration, warning more people may die if you don't cooperate. President Trump's national security advisor says there'll be a professional transition of power to a Biden administration. As NPR's Franco Ordonez reports, Robert O'Brien says Biden's team should be given time it needs to put people in place.
National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien noted the legal challenges the Trump campaign is pursuing, but said if they are unsuccessful, President-elect Joe Biden deserves the chance to implement his policies.
Look, if the Biden-Harris ticket is determined to be the winner, and it's, obviously things look that way now, we'll have a very professional transition from the National Security Council. There's no question about it.
But his comments at the Global Security Forum stand in sharp contrast to President Trump's refusal to acknowledge he lost the election to Biden. O'Brien said the Biden team would put highly skilled and capable people in place, many of whom worked in the White House before. Franco Ordonez, NPR News.
The World Health Organization is warning coronavirus surges that are happening in many parts of the globe, including North America, could get worse. NPR's Jason Beaubien reports.
The Director General of the WHO, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, says the direction of the COVID-19 pandemic is extremely worrying right now, and countries need to find ways to rein in the virus.
Those countries that are letting the virus run unchecked are playing with fire.
He said the WHO is particularly concerned about the United States and Europe, where healthcare systems are getting overwhelmed. Globally, there have been more than 54 million confirmed cases and 1.3 million deaths since January. And most concerning, the number of new cases globally continues to rise and is now at nearly 700,000 per day. Jason Beaubien, NPR News.
Optimism over early test results of another potential coronavirus vaccine sent stocks soaring today. The Dow up 470 points. That's 1.6%. The Nasdaq gained 94 points. The S&P 500 was up 41 points today. You're listening to NPR. A hand tally of the presidential race in Georgia appears to be going smoothly as it enters its fourth day. The hand count stems from a state law that calls for one race to be audited to ensure the new election machines counted the votes accurately. It was not the result of any suspected problems with the results. Some of the state's most populous counties finished over the weekend, while others say they're on track to finish by the Wednesday deadline. The state certification deadline is Friday. The Mine Safety and Health Administration has not done enough to protect coal miners from deadly silica dust. That's according to a new report from a federal oversight agency. Sydney Bowles has that story.
The Office of the Inspector General found that MSHA's standards for exposure to deadly silica dust were out of date, and MSHA lacked the ability to issue fines when coal companies violated air quality standards. The IG also said the Mine Safety Agency's sampling methods were too infrequent to keep miners safe. The findings echo a 2018 investigation from NPR, which found that silica exposure was contributing to epidemic levels of black lung disease among coal miners. Mine Safety and Health Administration head David Zeteslo said he could not agree with two of the Inspector General's 3 recommendations. For NPR News, I'm Sydney Bowles.
On the heels of a bankruptcy filing in February, the Boy Scouts of America now says it faces more than 90,000 sex abuse claims. That number found by today's deadline for submitting cases is far higher than initial projections by lawyers who've been signing up clients since the organization first filed for bankruptcy protection. I'm Jack Speer, NPR News.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore, and my guest tonight for this special 200th show is my good friend David Glidden. I'm so glad he's here. Yep. Yes. Well, that was Gonzo. You should have been Animal. Shake your head and see, get it right. Sherry asked some questions here in the chat room, so I'm going to ask you those. Who's someone you respect in the paranormal world who has or has had a TV show, and is it someone you've ever investigated with?
Well, I've had several friends that have gone on to be on TV. Like Brian Murray, who's on the latest installment of Ghost Hunters. Brandon Alvis, I've talked to a few times. Grant Wilson, I've talked to a few times as well, but I've never actually met him in person, which I was hoping to do that at the KC Paracon this past year, but it got shut down. Spurrier's on the equipment manager for Ghost Adventures. Dakota Layden's got his own show. But a lot of these guys I respect for different reasons. Like even people that I don't know that have their own TV shows. And I know everybody says this about Zach Baggins being a douche or whatever, but like I still respect his hustle. His what he's doing cinematically and what he's doing not for the field, but like in a filmmaking sense. I respect that aspect of him. But there's several people that have been on TV that I definitely give props to, and some of them that I am friends with, and if I noticed that any of them were faking shit, I definitely still would call them out on it or say something to them. Nick Ross, another one I've talked to a few times. Elizabeth Saint, they're pretty good people. So yeah, there's some people out there.
I will tell you something about Zach Bagans is that he's a type A personality, and he puts out there what he expects to get back from people. And a lot of people still don't respect him. But again, I'm going to say this again. He treated me and my family very respectfully.
Right.
And except for the talking down to me part that nobody got to see on TV. About being oppressed by the spirit in the Sally house, because that's what he told me I was, and I was like, "Who makes you this?" But that was the only thing. But again, he did. It was his idea to take selfies with my daughter. It was all this stuff, and like I said, he treated us well. Now his crew maybe not so much, but yeah, and he treated. I have to say that the crew treated Sharon at the McPike Mansion, her husband and family, like they were gold. So she didn't care for Zach, but she did like the rest of the crew. She thought they were great. So that's her experience. I have some other thoughts on some of the people that you mentioned there, but I'm not going to. That's about you, not me. So we're going to keep it that way. And also, what's your craziest experience ever?
Crazy experience ever. Well, this would be a little long-winded, but we'll go with this.
You got time till the break.
Yeah, two of them.
Okay.
Top of my list here. One of them was a private residence that we'd been investigating several times. We'd done a lot of research on this place. So one night we were going to go investigate as a team, and the rest of the guys couldn't make it, so it was just me and the homeowner. And his family was out of the house, and it was just me and him. And at one point we went down into the basement, and his basement's pitch black. And I gave him my camera, my camcorder, which the LED screen was flipped out, so it was lighting up his face. So that was the only light that we had down there. And I'm holding the recorder, and I'm probably about 5 feet in front and off to the left of him a little bit. And maybe a little bit further. No, maybe about 10 feet. So we hear something to the right of us, up in front and to the right of us, like in the corner of the basement. And so we started directing some attention there. And a few minutes later, he says, "It's getting really cold up my back." And I just kind of nonchalantly looked over my shoulder at him. And I looked. And I looked at him and I looked back, and then I had to do a double take. Because when I first looked at him, what I saw over his shoulder was another face that was being lit up by the LED screen. Mm-hmm. I still remember what it looked like today. It looked like a combination of Randy Marsh from South Park and the Pringles guy. It looked like that.
Are you sure it wasn't the guy from the National Bohemian Cans in Baltimore?
I'm pretty sure.
Was he winking at you?
No, he was actually looking at the camera. He was actually looking at the camera like he was looking to see what was on the screen or something, or whatever, see what the guy had in his hand. So I looked at Leon, the homeowner. I looked at him and looked back, and I had to do a double take real quick, but whenever I looked back at him, the face was gone. Like, I remember it to the T, but the thing about that is, like, when you have an experience like that, like, usually within 24 hours, within, like, just a few hours, you start questioning yourself about it. You know, you start thinking, did I really see that? If I did, why is it so vivid now? So whenever I saw that and I did the double take, I'm like, holy shit. And he's like, what? And I'm like, nothing. Let's just go upstairs and I'll tell you what I saw. So we went upstairs. I described to him the person I saw, and his eyes got big. And it was then when he revealed to me that I just described this male figure that he had seen when he first moved into the house.
Oh.
The other experience that I had that's like right there with that was at the Brown Mansion in Coffeyville, Kansas. And we were hosting investigations there. We were doing some fundraising for the Brown Mansion. And this was like our second one we did. And we had a bunch of kids from the college there, the community college, there for the investigation. I think we had like 15 people. And we split them up into two groups. Myself and another member, Gene, we took a group up to the second floor. And Mike and Tabby, two of my other members, they took a group down to the basement. And while up on the second floor, we weren't getting anything. It was just quiet. So I told Gene, I'm going to go downstairs, and I'm going to see what's going on with Mike's group. So I left Gene up there with them, and I went downstairs, and they told me that they were receiving knocks in response to their questions, and it was going on for about like 20 minutes. So I stood down there, and I shot some video of this whole session, and sure enough, for another 20 minutes, we were getting responses, like once for yes, twice for no. This entity was claiming that it was Mr. Brown, the former owner. And it got so consistent that we were like, somebody's got to be on the first floor messing with us. So I took one of the people from his group, went up to the first floor above the room that they were in, and sure enough, we were hearing the knocks like 15 feet in front of us, just right on the floor, like, and there was nothing there. And we sat there for about 15, 20 minutes, and then I heard Gene trying to radio for Mike. And so I'm like, okay, let's go see what Gene's needing, because Gene wasn't getting a hold of Mike. So we started to go upstairs, and to get up to the stairs, there's like a set of stairs, a landing, and then another set of stairs that goes back the other way to the hallway there. And the room Gene's in and the girls are in is conjoined to the master bedroom, and you can go through the bathroom to go from room to room there. And so we get up start going up the stairs. We get to that first landing, and then we hear a loud boom, and all the girls just start freaking out, screaming. And I took off running up there, ran into the room, and as soon as I came into the room, I seen Gene picking himself up off the floor and stumbling around like he was a punched-out boxer. He was falling over the bed and everything like that. All the girls were huddled up in this corner, like just still screaming and everything. I told Greg, the guy that was with me, I told him to get the girls out, take them outside, and then to go get Mike's group and do the same with them. I took Gene, I sat him down in a chair in that room, and trying to talk to Gene for about 5 minutes was like trying to talk to like a 2-year-old that just jabbers, or a 1-year-old that just jabbers. It's like nothing made sense, and it was like he was drunk and didn't have any energy. That's what it was like. So by the time Mike comes up there, and several minutes had passed, and Gene started getting his wits about him and everything, we asked him to let us know what happened, and so he's showing us everything, where everybody was at and all this, and he said he was sitting there in front of that bathroom, staring into the master bedroom, and I guess everybody was hearing footsteps in the hallway. They thought Mike and myself had come up the stairs and were walking around in the hallway. And then he looked into that master bedroom and saw this short female in this master bedroom, and he thought to himself, well, if Dave and Mike are out there, I'm going to run through here, chase her out into the hallway so they can see her. He got to stand up, and then he said it was like something went right through him, like something had just almost like shoved him. And he went backwards, and he ended up falling into a 100-year-old chair and broke it. And if the chair wasn't where it was at, he would have went out the second floor window. Through correlating time and everything, the entity that was communicating with Mike downstairs stopped right before that happened. And so what we determined was that the entity that Gene had seen was Mrs. Brown, because Mrs. Brown was actually 4'8". Mr. Brown was 6'4", which is quite a conundrum.
Well, no, actually, my aunt and uncle, she's less than 5 foot tall, and he's 6'4".
Yeah, it's weird to see that though. So what we figured out was, like, if the entity communicating with Mike was Mr. Brown, somehow it knew that Gene was going to go chase his wife, and like any man, if somebody's going to come running after your wife, you're going to stop them. So I think that's what happened, was he went up there to stop Gene from doing whatever he was going to do. And so we were like, it wasn't anything malicious. It was just more for protection, more out of protection for his wife. And then we continued the investigation, and we ended up we did a number of investigations, like group investigations like that. Ultimately raising a bunch of money for the Brown Mansion. I think we raised like $12,000 for them. But the funniest part about it all, there was a guy on that tour, on that investigation, who left early. He left right before all that, and he worked at the college. So the next day, that's all he heard about was what happened at the Brown Mansion. And every time after that we hosted an investigation, he always bought a ticket, and he was always there. And he didn't want to miss a thing after that, and he ended up getting some really good experiences as well. So, but yeah, everything worked out, and that's one of the craziest ones I've ever experienced.
Those are some excellent experiences. Because I mean, I know that you've talked about those before, but they're always interesting to hear. So,
yeah. The ones I don't talk about too much, like with what happened to Dawn when we were at Malvern, that was a wild experience, because it didn't only affect Dawn, it affected other people, even people that weren't even there. That's just one I don't like talking too much about it. Even in the episode, like what happened after Malvern, I just kind of glossed over everything because it's more of a personal thing that affected several people. But that was a crazy experience too.
I can see that. So, do you think that your daughter has seen any spirits yet?
I don't know, but I will tell you this. This is the funniest damn thing. After she was born, when she was still learning to smile, or still, they'll do those smiles every now and then, I was left alone with the baby. And I'm sitting there holding her, and people might judge me for this, but I kind of found it interesting, me being an experimenter. I said to her, I started talking to her like she was a reincarnated spirit. I was like, don't forget about your past. Don't forget who you were, and try to remember everything. And whenever I told her that, she just like smiled. And that cracked me up, and I was like, oh man, maybe she understood what I was saying. So now every once in a while, I was like, do you still remember who you are, who you were, past life, kind of thing? I want to...
It could be gas.
Could be that too.
So, you know what? We're at our next break. You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. We'll be back with David Glidden in just a few minutes.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... Nope.
That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama. Since 1948, Fate Magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting. You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
This is Jason Bland, host of Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup, where we stream live as a webcast every Sunday night, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern, with guests who will blow your mind. Live ghost box sessions where you can call into the show to see if the spirits will talk to you, and the world wide web of weird with the latest in paranormal news and evidence. We're bringing the weird every Sunday night, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Don't forget to follow and subscribe.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 23 minutes after the hour.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore, and my guest tonight is David Glidden, and we've been having a lot of fun talking with him. But I do have another question for you. Let me see if I can find it again. Oh, Cassie says that thing that happened to Dawn at Malvern has her curious. Is there anything you can talk about that? What happened with Dawn?
So basically, what happened with Dawn was we were actually set up to film 2 nights. We did a two-part episode of Haunting History at Malvern. The first night that we were there, it was Dawn's first time there. And normally when we do Malvern, if you haven't done it yet, we make people do a solo session for about 30 minutes somewhere. And so we did that with Dawn. Everything was fine. We investigated a little bit further into the night. We went upstairs to the girls' room. And then we went to the room where the assailant is said to have stayed, and she and I were doing some investigating there. We're doing some EVP work, and I noticed her behavior kind of changed, like the way she was talking and body language. It almost became like sexual, the way she was talking. And just kind of like moving around, like the way she would look at me. And so I was like, okay, let's get out of here. Let's go back downstairs. And so we started leaving the room, and I felt her coming up right behind me, like really quick. And I turned around, and she was like right there in my face. And I had the camera with me. And you see me on the episode, I'm like, whoa, because I had to back up. And she's like, what? Not like what, like questioning, like, but it was more of like a sensual what. And I'm like, yeah, let's go. So went down there, back down to our base area and was talking to John about it, and we were like, I wonder if she's like not sensitive, or if she's not channeling something, or what have you. So we went back up there with her, and John started provoking, and you can see her on camera. She starts getting really annoyed with John's questions, and like you can tell she was fighting it.
Mm-hmm.
So we ended up finishing the investigation that night, and of course we stayed there at Malvern.
Mm-hmm.
The next day, she kept wanting to go back up into that room, and she kept calling it her room. We let her go up there, and I guess she took a nap up there, and when she was sleeping, she was positioned like you would see somebody that was possessed. Like her fingers and her hands were all like crooked and set weird, like she had arthritis or something, So John snapped a couple pictures of those, of that, and for the rest of the day and night, we kept her off the second floor. And the entire time, she kept trying to sneak back up there. Like, she would literally try to sneak up there. And John, at one point, had to physically remove her from the room. So when we came home, on the way home, when we left, she was bawling because that was her home. That's what she kept saying. That was her home. That was her room, and all this. On the way home, I didn't know it at the time. It was later when I unpacked my laptop that she had written several times. I mean, like several times on a piece of paper, "Fuck you," and she tore them up and she folded them and she stuck them in my laptop bag. Like, there was probably 24 little pieces of paper that said that on there. So then, after we got back, John and I was trying to find somebody that could help her. Well, not only was she being affected, Carmen, Barry's fiance at the time, she was being affected. John's daughter, who wasn't even there, was being affected. Jennifer was channeling. Carmen, I think, was just really having a lot of these nightmares about the place and about something from that place. And it was affecting her behavior too a little bit. So we ended up doing multiple cleansings at Dawn's. The first one we did, we had everybody there. We had a friend over in Carthage who does that kind of thing. I'm not me, I'm not somebody that would just jump into like, hey, let's cleanse this house and let's smudge and do all this stuff. I'm not one that jumps into all that. But I personally believe that, depending on other people's beliefs, if something's going to work. So, like, you could be Catholic and not respond to smudging or something of that nature, and you'll respond to like a
holy water
or something, something that's related to that religion. So if you don't believe in it, it's not going to work for you. That's my personal belief on things. So, like, I know Dawn she kind of on that fence about like the smudging and stuff like that. So that's the route we took with it. And Jennifer and Carmen were that's the kind of belief system that they had or have. And so we took that route, and it took us 2 to 3 weeks of multiple attempts at it before we really started seeing any results. And then we had to let it breathe a little bit, and over time everything got a lot better. Jennifer is fine, Carmen was fine. Dawn had to ride it out a little bit longer and deal with it a little bit longer than those two, but ultimately Dawn seems to be past that. We actually had her on an investigation for haunted mystery this new season, so just kind of getting her, just kind of checking with her and kind of getting her back out there, because she's been dying to go back out and investigate.
Yeah, I knew that she hadn't been out investigating in a little while, because I am friends with her on Facebook, and I remember her saying something about that to me, and how she was afterwards, how she was worried that it could come back.
Yeah.
And she said that she didn't feel like herself at all for a long time.
She wasn't. She really wasn't at all. And
Why?
she kept trying to beg me to. She was begging me at one point to come back and investigate and to take him back out. And I was like, no, you're not ready. It's too soon. I'm not going to just like throw somebody back out there that's had an experience like that, especially so quickly. Because I think people that do go through something like that, if they've never had an experience anywhere near that, I think it does take a shock to the system. And I think there's a lot of coping that has to be done before you just jump back into it.
Is it possible that she had some PTSD from that?
I would assume so. I mean, I don't see why not. You know, PTSD can strike up from stress. So I'd imagine there's a lot of stress from that. As well as, just, what happens in her daily life just because of the way she was behaving. Not necessarily just the stress, but the way she was behaving, I think, could alter or affect, her memory of it or her anxiety now.
Was something going on at the time in her life? I mean, you don't have to get personal about it, but was there something going on in her life at that time that made her more vulnerable to a possession?
I don't necessarily think it was something more so like going on with her life as it was so much that she was still new. She was not. She didn't know how to protect
herself.
Yeah, she was kind of a hardcore. She wasn't a hardcore believer or anything like that. So she always, she wanted to have experiences happen. She wanted to experience something anywhere we went. And yeah, as an investigator, yeah, you do want to have some experiences, but you don't want to leave yourself expecting and wanting and waiting for it. You do want to have some boundaries to it, and that's a thing that you see a lot of experienced investigators. We kind of gripe and bitch about a lot of these newbies jumping into the paranormal field and going to all these really haunted locations, like places like Bobby Mackey's that's supposed to be demonic. Yet all these people are going there that are new in the field and they don't have the experience to or know how to protect themselves. And they're just going to these events or they're going to these investigations on their own. What's going to happen to you afterwards? If you do pick up something and you don't know who to talk to. I mean,
right.
And that's the thing. We actually did I thought we were doing a good job of easing Dawn in with some of these locations. It's just this particular one. We never had a female with us at that location at Malvern, and that was the first time. So, lesson learned, I guess.
Was this in one of the rooms where upstairs where that we call the rape rooms?
Yeah, the raper. It was in the guy that did the raping. It was in his room. And what's funny is there's another team that's near us. They had never been to Malvern, but they finally went. And when they saw that episode, they let me know that something similar like that happened to one of their own investigators. It's an all-female team, but one of the girls, she was I think she's 40 something or almost 50. She started acting sexual, and she's like, I'm never like that, and there's no reason for me to be like that. And she realized how she was behaving, and she had to go into the bathroom and downstairs and calm herself and get herself resituated and everything. And so I don't know if it was like a power of perception or something like that, where she saw the video and now she's going to do it too, or if that was a legitimate thing.
I can see that. Is this team out of Iowa?
No.
Okay. Because there's just a few all-female paranormal teams that I know of. So, but it's interesting, the things that not the same things don't happen to every team every time they go to a location. It's not every time we go to Malvern, I get attacked. That's not true.
Right.
It's only happened once that I can think of, maybe twice. But, it's strange how the same things don't occur. I mean, we've had times at Malvern Manor where we got next to nothing.
Yeah.
In fact, the last time we had Cheryl Ann came out to hang out with us for a little while. And while she was there, we had some activity. After she left, not as much. But we did have rum cake, so we were all good.
Yeah. Well, I've done a drunken investigation at Malvern. Well, I did it live too, and
I remember.
We didn't have anything bad happen. We didn't have anything happen really that I can remember.
Well, I don't remember anything happening either, but we weren't drinking with you when we were watching. So, yeah, I don't remember anything standing out at the time. And I hate to say this, but when we take a break at Malvern, we usually do have a drink.
Yeah.
A little bit of moonshine, maybe a little bit. My cousin started it, and she's a bad girl. It's Crystal, is April's sister. So those of you listening, Crystal brought in scotch on one of them, and Ron and Charlie and her and I don't know who else drank some of that. I brought chocolate moonshine, so people tried that. Yeah, I know. It sounds different. It's chocolate moon pie moonshine at that. So
that sounds good.
Oh, it is good. The banana's really good too. But that's a whole different story. Those are my spirits that I keep locked up. And but it is something that we do. I mean, we do have a drink there, but to be honest, it's usually snowing.
Right.
So let's be, and there was no heat then. Yeah. Remember, there was no heat last year, the year before.
Oh, yeah.
This year, he supposedly got heat put in in the building. Is that true? Do you know?
I know they had it all on the first floor.
Okay.
And actually, last year they did have it, but it was mainly in that main room where everybody sits.
Right. That's the only place that they had heat was in that one room. It was propane or kerosene. I don't remember which one, but that's the only place that they've ever had heat before. And he said that prices are going to go up because he was going to put heat in, and I think he needs to put in some bathrooms. That's what I think he needs.
They've got a bathroom.
Another one?
They've got the one on the first floor. It works. Even the shower works.
Oh yeah. Is there a hot water heater?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, see, that's still better than it was, because we didn't have hot water the last time we were there. We went, honestly, it was a year ago Sunday. Because we went on time change day last year. And it snowed, and we had snow in our room because we didn't know the window was open.
Oh, no.
Well, because that was the room that they were using the power to fix the trailer.
Oh, okay.
So they had all the cords in there, and we woke up the next morning, and Ron was sick. I don't know what he had, but he was sick, and I had to put away the tent and found the snow. I was like, shoot. So it was cold. But, like I said before, to a lot of people, I think Josh wonders if we're in Iowa when it snows early. Because every time we come across the state line, it starts to snow. So, and even if they're not calling for it, which is odd. But do you have any locations that you can talk about that you're planning on going to in the near future?
Nothing that I'm planning on going to, but I guess there's one I've been thinking about doing probably in January. Is the Crescent Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Last time we filmed there was like when we first did Haunting History. I think it was our second episode we ever shot. So we kind of want to go back there. But outside of that, I can say which places we visited for this new season of Haunting History, aside from the one that we're shooting at this weekend. but like we've shot at the Fee House in Little Rock, McIntyre Villa. We actually filmed the town of Avila, if you're familiar with Avila, Missouri. The legends of Rock.
I always call it Avila.
Yeah.
I didn't know. It always says when you're on I-70, nothing's off this exit. No services on this exit. So we just drive by it.
Right.
So what is in that town?
Not necessarily the entire town, but we investigated a lot, like several different buildings and locations in that little town. And then what was the other place? Oh yeah, the Rogers Theater in Poplar Bluff, Missouri. That was another location we filmed. So, yeah, some really interesting locations and new locations for us. I don't think, none of these locations we've ever been to until this season. So it was the first time for all of them.
We just went through Poplar Bluff. Was it Poplar Bluff, Ron, or was it Pine Bluff? Pine Bluff, sorry. Bluff.
Poplar Bluff's on the other side of Missouri.
This is in Arkansas.
Yeah, Pine Bluff's in Arkansas.
Yeah, I know where Poplar Bluff is because I met Ron in Blytheville, Arkansas, and you can go that way through Jonesboro and all the other crap to go through there. Yeah. So I know where it is. It's just I get the two names mixed up. So, but you know what? We're at our last break. So everyone, this is your last chance to get your questions in there for David. And Ron, don't put that question in there. He doesn't need to hear it. So.
It's about orbs. It's about orbs, isn't it?
No. I'm actually giving him crap. He can't hear me until this airs, until it comes through because of the delay. So, but if you guys have any questions for David, please put them in the chats because this is your last chance to get them in there. And you're listening to WBHM-DB.com out of Birmingham, Alabama. And I hope you guys are having fun because I know I am, but it isn't all about me. It's about you guys as well. So go get your drink, take the dog out, whatever, but come back and let's hear the end of this story.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... Nope.
That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
This is Jason Bland, host of Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup, where we stream live as a webcast every Sunday night, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern, with guests who will blow your mind. Live ghost box sessions where you can call into the show to see if the spirits will talk to you, and the world wide web of weird with the latest in paranormal news and evidence. We're bringing the weird every Sunday night, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Don't forget to follow and subscribe.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 45 minutes after the hour.
Welcome back to the Paranormal. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore, and my guest tonight is David Glidden. And we do have a question for you, David. David, have you ever had any luck with the phone in EVP sessions?
Actually, yeah. Since we started doing those, I don't remember when we started doing those. We started doing them like almost 10 years ago, maybe longer. I've noticed probably about a 60% success rate with them. And it's not necessarily that you're just capturing an EVP, but if you look at the factors of people experiencing things on their end of the phone, or something happening in the room, or actually capturing an EVP, when you take all those into consideration, like 60% of the time, it happens every time.
When you were doing your show, your radio show, have you ever picked up any EVPs while doing your show?
We did a live, kind of a live thing at a TV sanitarium in Arkansas, where we had to go back to the hotel room to host the show, but we had one of our members there at the sanitarium who called into the show, and then we had somebody else call into the show and let them do an EVP session through the two lines. And we actually ended up hearing like some really amazing stuff. Like we had a kid crying or laughing. It was weird. I don't know how to explain it. We also heard like some woman saying something out of the sanitarium. It was pretty bizarre. And the funny thing was, like, when we heard the kid, we asked the guy, we're like, hey, are you at home right now? You got your kids in bed or anything? He's like, no, I'm sitting in a parking lot. I'm picking my girlfriend up from work, just waiting on her. We're like, so there's no kids around you. And this is like middle of winter. Like there should not be any kids out at night, you know, in the middle of it was amazing. So through the radio show doing that, we have, but like when we normally did Paranormal Frequencies, we just did it in studio. So
we have another question for you. This one's from Carl. He asked, is John and his wife coming to sell lights and crystals at the event this weekend?
I don't know if John is. I know Susan is not. She's got her grandkids. So she's not going to be able to make it out. I don't know what John's plans are. I've asked him about it, and I've let him know about it. He just hasn't gotten back to me about it. So I don't.
Well,
that'd be a question to ask John.
Yeah, just tell Susan that we'll miss her, and tell John we hope we see him. But John has this weird way of asking me questions on strange days. I'm serious. He sends me a message, and the last time he sent me one, we had just gotten into Daphne, Alabama, heading to Fairhope, which is just down the road, and my phone buzzes at me, tells me that we're in a tropical storm watch. You know, basically just pull in. Boop, beep, bzz, 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 tropical storm watch. And I go into this convenience store and I come out and my phone is buzzing again and it's John. Are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm on vacation. You know, didn't happen to tell him that we were in a tropical storm watch at this point. And then he asked me if I know somebody who does something, and I send him back a name. Today he does the same thing. You know, I don't know if he knew that I've had shingles all this time, which I had them when I was on vacation too. But asked me if I knew anybody with past life regression. Knew anybody that did past life regression stuff. And so I sent him some names, and it's like, he has got the darndest, you know, times to ask me stuff. And I've told Ron, I said, John only wants me when he wants something. So I kind of laugh, but I know it's because he knows I know somebody everywhere.
Yeah,
that does everything. So I just thought it was funny. But yeah, I hope John comes. John is such a good man, and I also saw that you and Barry had a friendiversary as well. Mm-hmm. How did you meet him?
We had a former member, Jeremy. Whenever the group was called POSWIM, the Paranormal Investigators of Southwest Missouri, this is at the time, towards the back end of that, Jeremy was like a in-training kind of investigator. And like Mike, who was my co-founder, he had quit because he wanted to pursue starting his family and focus on that. And then Gene, of course, got put through a chair. So after that happened, he's never investigated again. So, I didn't want to continue investigating without those guys, and I was going to just go ahead and hang them up myself. And Jeremy just kind of talked me into keeping it going. And then that's whenever I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to keep it going, I'm not going to investigate under that old name because I don't have those guys. It's not the same. I don't want to do that out of respect. So I changed the name, and Jeremy was the first investigator that was with me on that. And Jeremy had known Barry from work, and another guy named Steven, who they were both interested in doing this. And I told them, I gave them an app, fill out an app, let me get some background information on them first. And then I decided to, invite them out to meet them and everything. And we were going to have a meeting, so I invited them to the meeting, and I got to talk to them and everything like that. And I invited both of them to join the team at that point, and that was quite a long time ago.
Well, I'll tell you, Barry is one of the nicest guys you ever want to meet.
Yep.
And he loves his animals.
Yeah, he looks mean, but he's a big teddy bear.
Oh, he is. And he worries me. And he is accident prone more than anybody I've ever met. And he keeps me worried all the time. Mm-hmm. So, but when you see him next or talk to him next, tell him that I'm thinking about him all the time. I'm just not on Facebook all the time.
Okay.
So
yeah, I just talked to him on the way here, but he was all drugged up.
So yeah, he should be.
Burn, right?
Yeah, I figured we'd talk about that later, not on the air. So I do have another question for you. This one's from Sherry again. She asks, what about the paranormal equipment he uses the most and why? And what do you love about it?
Well, for me, I'm a basic guy. Give me a digital recorder and a camera and I'm happy. A lot of the equipment that's out there, it's all for show. You look at the spirit boxes and like the PSP7, the Echo Vox, the apps, all that stuff. It's all for show. Let's be real. Real ITC doesn't involve putting lights and all this stuff on a device. Like you look at, like Katie Stafford. I think he's approaching it more in the right way. I think he's probably done a lot of more twisting and turning on devices than I've really seen anybody. But a lot of these ghost boxes, we'll just call them ghost boxes. When people say that they're improving them, all they're doing is putting guitar effect pedals on them and putting a delay, a chorus, and all this, trying to make something out of nothing. And I think that's really not the way we should be pursuing it. And honestly, I think that's done for the viewers, people watching videos, live streams, whatever. They have to be engaged. They have to be watching. So those devices are, I think, specifically made for that. The idea behind it initially was a good idea. But since then, it's just gotten to be more entertainment value. So one device that I've recently purchased that we've been using this year on Haunting History is the EDI Plus.
Yeah.
This thing, I freaking love it.
That was the thing that Charlie couldn't get to work unless I was around.
Yeah, the EDI, for those of you that don't know, the EDI is a device that measures temperature, humidity, barometric pressure, vibrations, EMF. The EDI Plus actually logs that onto an SD card, and you can load it up on a program and chart it out, so you can relate whenever there's environmental changes to when you pick up an EVP or when something happens at the location. That thing I've used on all these investigations, and honestly, it has not chirped, it has not lit up, it has not done anything. And a lot of people will be disappointed in that, but not me. I'm like, that gives me some sigh of relief to know that it's legit, that this thing is legitimately working.
What does your card say, though? Does your SD card show anything on there at all?
When we mess with the thing to pick it up to turn it on and off, or bumping a table or something like that, yeah, it'll show the vibration of it. But that's all. That's all we've noticed so far.
Yeah, like I said, when Charlie's went off, it was sitting on this table at this highly known location at the time, and I was sitting on the arm of a chair or sofa, and I would say something about a spirit that I knew was there, and it would just pop on automatically. And I wasn't moving or anything. I was just sitting there talking, and we were all just sitting around talking at the time, and didn't know what was going on, and I wasn't paying attention to it. It was behind me, so I didn't even know it was there. And he goes, damn it, that thing's working now, and it wasn't before. He goes, I thought I was going to send it back because it didn't do anything. And at Malvern, we had it working, doing something in that one room in the front of the house on the second floor that they called was one of the rape rooms. And either the perpetrator was in that room or whatever, I don't remember. But we were sitting in there, and I would say something, and it would go off. So maybe it's something in the tone of my voice makes it go off. I don't know. So maybe we should try that out and see on Saturday. See if the tone of my voice makes it go off.
Well, I know, like, with when we were at McIntyre Villa, I had Larry Buchanan and Jason Kuczyk with me, and there were some like these light up cat balls that we got. So we had those sitting on some like the furnace and on a table and stuff. And when we were down in the basement, like we noticed that if we talk real loud, like the vibration from the voice would reverberate enough, and it would like kind of vibrate the table or the furnace enough to make the balls light up. But I've not noticed that with the EDI. So, which again, like I said, that to me gives me a little bit more hope that it's a legitimate device.
Well, I'll tell you, it's funny because I don't really talk that loud, but I do have a low voice for a woman, and I don't know if that is the issue. That it's just that can't be a woman. No, I don't know. I don't know. But the cat ball thing, I remember somebody sent me a message on those and said, can you believe that they're trying to sell these for this much? And I said, well, what I can't believe is that you bought them, for that much when I can go get them from the dollar store. Yeah. And because I have some of those, I have 5 cats. Of course we have cat toys, but when that article came out, and they sent me the article after that, and said, look at this, and I was like, well, I can see why you would think that it would work, but it's just, but I understood why they were sending it to me, because they wanted to let me know, hey, don't go out and buy this stuff, because this person is just repackaging them and saying that they're paranormal.
Yep.
So, which is wrong,
Well, everybody takes everything, and everything in the paranormal field seems to have been built with the initial purpose of something else other than paranormal, like EMF meters and digital voice recorders and everything up until a certain point. When it comes to like the ITC devices and things of that nature, that's like I said, it's entertainment. But
some of these devices could they have been built for maybe like sonic ear? The sonic ear is used to listen in on what your neighbors are talking about. Not they're not supposed to be used for that, but that's what they use it for. Is my neighbor talking about me? I need to know. But that's a whole different ballgame, and we're actually at 9:00. So, and I know she's going to have to edit some of this. So, so we're going to get this part done. David, where can people find you?
I'm on Facebook. You could also find Haunting History on YouTube. It's youtube.com/haunting history. I've got several websites or Facebook pages for Into the Light, paranormal studies, the paranormal frequencies. We've just started the Paranormal Frequencies YouTube channel, and yeah, that'll be. My films are on Amazon Prime. You can check them out there. VidiSpace, you can check it out there as well, and on RealHouse.org.
And thank you so much for coming on tonight, David. You made this very special for me, and I look forward to visiting with you again on the memorial show for Richard Rose. But for everyone else, tune in after Thanksgiving for my next show. Currently, I have scheduled Shane Pittman, and we'll see how that goes. But you're listening to WBHM-DB.com, and we'll see you every Monday at 7 p.m. Central. Thank you.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.